Welcome to Walking Together, a podcast all about encouraging each other as we follow Jesus together. I'm your host, Dennis Lavelle. Let's start walking. Two men go to a business lunch together. The waiter comes over and the first man asks for a glass of sweet tea. The second man asked for the same and then said to the waiter, "And make sure the glass is clean." When the waiter returned with the two glasses of sweet tea, he said, "Now, which one of you asked for the clean glass?" Well, serving others can be like that at times, can't it? Other people's expectations usually throw a cold blanket on our desire to serve others, doesn't it? Well, today I want to go to a very familiar portion of the Bible. It's Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 41. And here's two women, sisters in fact. Both were believers and disciples of Jesus. One had a totally different perspective on serving than the other. Their names, Mary and Martha. So what we read here is that Jesus and his disciples are invited into Mary and Martha's home. And Martha darts into the kitchen and starts preparing the drinks and snacks. But Mary chose to get some literal FaceTime with Jesus. And as you can imagine, this went south pretty quick. And the Bible says that Martha became cumbered or distracted with all the serving. And the bottom line is that Martha was busy with earthly service and Mary was busy with eternity. Now go back in your mind's eye. Growing up, who did you admire for the way they handled stress? Was it your mom, dad, brother or sister, a grandparent, a relative, a friend, a pastor, a teacher? And what did you learn from them? And how did their example shape you into who you are today? Well, let me lay out a couple different scenarios for you, and then you tell me which of these situations quickly elevates your stress level. Okay, here we go. How about a visit from a relative? Or how about your spouse asking you to do work on your day off? Or your boss wanting to see you in his office ASAP? Or sitting down to pay monthly bills? How about this? 7 straight days of rain. Boy, does that happen a lot here in Belgium. How about your kids and that rebellious streak that pops its head up more often than not? How about opening the fridge and seeing that whoever drank all the milk put the empty carton back in there? Well, if we're honest, it doesn't have to be big things that elevate our stress level, does it? It's usually a little thing on top of a little thing on top of another little thing. And at some point in time, that's it. We just explode and the people around us get all the shrapnel from our outburst. And I think this is what we see here with Martha and Mary. And Martha was busy doing all these tasks to make their guests feel comfortable. Little by little, task by task, it was building up. And then, boom, she explodes and then goes over to Jesus and says, "Well, obviously you don't care that my sister isn't lifting a finger. She's paying all this attention to you, and she's not helping to serve others. So if you don't mind, tell her to knock it off and get back here in the kitchen with me." Now, think about that for a minute. Have you ever asked God to make other people help you? Seems kind of silly, doesn't it? When she says, "Don't you care that I'm left alone to serve?" Does that sound familiar? You remember Elijah? "Lord, I'm the only one who's left serving you." And of course, that wasn't true, but that's the way he felt because of what he saw with his earthly eyes. And then Jesus says, "Martha, take a breath here. You're getting tied up in knots. You're anxious, and you're troubled about a lot of things." Now read verse 41 carefully. She was worried and upset about many things, not just serving, but many other things as well. And Jesus needed to point that out to her. And then Jesus says, only one thing is important. And Mary understands what that is. And so Martha was weighted down. She was burdened with serving. And listen, if serving others is a burden to you, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. If serving Christ is a burden to you, you might as well stop and take a breath, because he's not honored by it. You see, we have to ask ourselves, why did Martha drive herself like she did? Did she love Jesus? I have no doubt. Did she want to be a good hostess? Absolutely. But what got in the way? It was comparing what she was doing with what Martha was doing. And when you're truly serving with the right heart and the right attitude, comparison is nowhere to be found. Because you serving others doesn't depend on what they're doing to serve other people, or even not serving other people. You do it because you know it's right, not because someone else expects it from you. Now, Martha's mind was fixated on the wrong thing. And so fixing your mind on Christ fixes your mindset. But let's be honest here. How do you feel about Jesus' response to Martha? I mean, does it irritate you? Does it disappoint you? You think he should have told Mary to go help in the kitchen? Are you ambivalent, where you think, yeah, I see his point, but I don't like it? Or did he respond the way that you would have responded? See, Jesus said, Martha, your focus should really only be on one thing, me. That will never be taken away. And the reality is, we'll be doing it for all eternity, so you might as well get used to it while you're here on earth. So let me encourage you. Let's take a couple seconds to do a little self-examination about your own work habits. Do you see Martha's attitude in what you do on a daily basis? Or do you see more of Mary's attitude? Ask yourself, what one thing is needed for me to start taking stress and worry out of my life? Do I need to find a Martha to do all my work for me? No, that's not it. Well, how about this? Do I need to take on Mary's attitude? Do I need to learn more about Christ and be closer to him personally? Do I need to not allow what's important to be eclipsed by all the busyness of my serving? And admittedly, I can catch myself doing more things for the Lord than spending time with him. And I bet the same is true in your life. So when things in life just overwhelm us and surprise us or tick us off, what should we do? Well, James 1 verse 2 is our reference point. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into diverse or different kinds of temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith works patience. Peter says, in this world you will have tribulation. Now, I've wrapped my head around that, but some days I'm not quite where James was. Count it all joy. And I think, you count it all joy, James, because I'm still working on it, right? Isn't that the way we feel sometimes? But we are to find joy. We're to rejoice even when the people around us aren't lifting a finger to serve. We live in a Martha-type world, but we need a Mary type of heart. Everything around us is busy, worry, stress. Got to get this accomplished. And it seems like no one else is rolling up their sleeves to help. But come on, we need to take a breath and understand that our serving has nothing to do with what anybody else is doing. If your worship is dependent on other people's expectations, you've lost the plot, my friend. So keep the right perspective. Others will be blessed, and the Lord will be honored by your attitude. Well, I hope this has been an encouragement to you. Share it with a friend. Give us a positive rating on Apple Podcasts or Pandora or whatever your platform is. 5 stars is our favorite. Go be a blessing to someone today. Have a merry heart in a Martha world. We'll see you next time.